and let the journey continue. Welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Connections, Your Journey, Our Journey. My name's John Piro, and this is the second episode of my show. We just started this a week ago, and last week I interviewed the gentleman who created this platform, Jurni.tv, Brian Campbell. And so I suggest that you go to the archives, watch that show, because Brian is definitely a powerful connection. I quite honestly love the name Powerful Connections because, you know, that's what I've done all my life is I basically have been networking. And when I talk to people, I generally kind of think of, you know, who do I know that, you know, that can whether help them or they can help the other person. And so basically by doing that, I'm creating a powerful connection for one and or the other. This week, my guest is Brandon Duff. And Brandon, I had the pleasure of meeting just recently, sometime in the past month or so. And he's quite the guy, quite the entrepreneur. Really don't know a lot about Brandon other than the few things that I've learned. So what I'd like to do is bring Brandon on the show right now. And Brandon, why don't you, let me see, I'm going to bring him on. There you are, Brandon. How are you doing?
I am amazing, John. How are you doing?
I'm phenomenal. I always like that question. How are you doing today?
No, it's a great question. I mean, at least it's not like I'm doing shitty, right? Like that would be a horrible introduction. But yeah, thanks so much. I like you said, we met probably, I want to say like 2 weeks ago. I probably added you on Facebook about a month ago. And we've just been going back and forth, kind of seeing how we can help each other and building those powerful connections. So it's a pleasure to be on your show, man.
Thanks. I really appreciate it, Brandon. So Brandon, you know, one of the things I like to find out is you know, I know where I've been through my journey, of course. But then when I'm talking to someone, especially when it comes to the online world, give us an idea of how long you've been involved with this space and what you were doing previously and so forth, and kind of where you started and how you came to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. So before this, I was a personal trainer. I owned my own fitness company and I did really well in it. Actually, I had kind of a niche market and it was mostly one-on-one group or small group training. And this was for the last maybe 7 to 9 years. And I really loved it. I really loved being able to help people. I don't know why I'm talking down, but I really loved being able to talk to people and really kind of fix their bodies, fix their minds, and kind of tailor their behaviors. And in doing so, I actually learned a lot through them because a lot of them were men that were wealthy and they were able to come in and train in the middle of the day. And I was like, God, how are you able to come in at 10 a.m. in the morning, 11 a.m. in the morning and train with me? Because like you should be working, right? And so I was like, man, how do you do this? So I just learned from them as much as I was teaching them how to optimize their lives. They were teaching me how to do wealth creation. So about maybe 4 years into training, I started learning from them and I took action. And I didn't want to be like that 45, 55-year-old trainer who still had clients and had to train and exchange time for money all my life. So I started investing in real estate. We actually have 10 rental properties now, or 10 units. And so we just collect passive income from that. I actually don't have them in the same state that I live in. I actually lived in California when I was about a year ago, and I lived there all my life. And I was investing in Las Vegas. So all of our rental properties are in Las Vegas, and I have a property manager who just sends me checks. Actually, he just does direct deposit. No one really uses checks anymore. So he just sends me the money. I don't have to do anything, totally hands off, which is great. And then about right before 2020, we're almost to 2021 now. Just about a year ago, I gave up my 6-figure fitness company and handed it off to another trainer because I no longer wanted to really do that anymore. I was kind of getting bored. I wasn't challenged enough. I was kind of waking up every day like, man, I'm still exchanging time for money. Like, how do I get out of this rat race? It's funny because so many people think entrepreneurship is this thing where it's like you have all this freedom, but when you have enough clients, you kind of just made yourself a cushy job because if you typically your clients are your bosses. So I pretty much had to, if I wasn't going to be willing to wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't being paid. If I went on vacation, I wasn't being paid. I was actually getting double tapped because I would have to pay for the vacation and I wasn't working. So I didn't have that leverage. So I ended up handing that off to another trainer. Now he was able to buy like his girlfriend at the time a ring. Now they're getting married. So it's like passing that on, which was kind of cool. And so I got into the online space about a year ago and was started off in about affiliate marketing. And from actually being a trainer, I actually moved across the country to a new state. I moved to Texas and started all over and thinking I was actually going to do the whole online training and leverage that. But I really just, my mind space wasn't in training anymore. So I wanted to leverage the internet, and the internet has so much ability to leverage and so much opportunity within it. So that's when I got into the whole online space, and really where I am today is pretty much owning multiple companies, owning a real estate business. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Interesting. Very interesting. Interestingly, there's several things that you said through that conversation there that I wanted to comment on. Well, first of all, I noticed your avatar, the Monopoly man, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I could only guess what it was. And then when I found out that you were into the real estate game and so forth, it only makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny because there's this guy by the name of Taylor Welch, who I'm a big fan of, and he owns a company called Traffic and Funnels. He owns Wealth Cap, and he has a program called Sales Mentor, and they do about 50 million a year. Wow. And he had this picture. I met him about it. I didn't meet him. I followed him about a year ago, and this picture of Thor as like himself with this hammer. And I was like, wow, that's really catchy. Like, I need to do something like that. And I never did it. And about maybe 6 months ago, I was like, man, I remember that Taylor guy. He's doing really well. Like, I should kind of follow him or almost kind of mimic him in a way. So I actually created an avatar, which was the Monopoly man. And if you know anything about Monopoly, it's about real estate and getting Broadway and Park Place and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll make that and be it about myself because I own real estate. I can relate to Monopoly because I'm taking single family homes and upgrading them to hotels or 4 units and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of created my avatar.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love that.
That's awesome.
When you talk about trading time for money and so forth, I know myself going back to, I graduated college in 1980. College. And come 1990, I ended up in my own businesses. And, when you talk about trading time for money, prior to getting into my own business, that's exactly what I was doing. And then once I started my own businesses, the first 3 years, I worked my butt off. I did pretty much everything, grew it organically and so forth. But then once I got to the point where I could start, duplicating myself and whatnot, it was a little bit different of game. And, my dad always said, the best business is the one that, you don't have to be there and make money.
Right.
And you pretty much have mastered that coming online and your timing of coming online with the whole pandemic thing and so forth. Being a personal trainer, your business probably would have flatlined, no?
Oh, yeah. It depends. So we have to be adaptable. I think all entrepreneurs need to have some kind of chameleon in them, in a sense, where they're able to kind of change their shade and be able to pivot, in a sense. I've seen some personal trainers that have gone and been instructors and that sort of thing, where they have gone from being in the classroom or at the gym or whatever, and now do it online. So being able to do it online, I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money doing it online. But yeah, I mean, for me, I probably would have flatlined because I just didn't, one, I didn't have a passion for it anymore. And two, I just feel like that if I'm going to do personal training online, I probably wouldn't have done the best. I think I would get too distracted or something. So I need to leverage some other way.
Yeah, you were losing interest, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, I think you have to be passionate about what you're doing so you don't get burnt out. I've spent so much time in the gym and training people and all these different things, and I was just burnt out by that point, and I wasn't passionate about. So I think that being able to did this transition that I did and the pivot that I did was just lucky timing.
Yeah, I hear you. I myself, I go all the way back to 2006 in this space, spent about 5 years on it in here, and then went on about a 9-year sabbatical. And when the pandemic hit, it really forced me back online. And when I came back online, it was just trying to feel out the landscape again.
Right.
You being online for I gotta say, a short period of time, comparably speaking, obviously, you've done incredibly well. I think, you kind of picked right up on it where, you don't want to be doing the organic thing and constantly working hard and having to make sales in order to make money. You have your tools working for you. And so I understand, I think I saw something about you going on a 2-week so-called vacation, playing your games, right?
Yeah.
And during that time, I think you said you had something like 18 sales or something like that of your software.
Yeah. So it's multiple facets to that. So we do have a toolkit that allows me to find leads on autopilot through Facebook, do follow-ups, that sort of thing. It's more of a CRM tool. But I was on vacation for a week. We went to New York. Me and my wife went to New Orleans, and we spent vacation during the pandemic. And then that was for 1 week. And then right after that, my video game that I play called World of Warcraft came out, and it was a new expansion. And I spent a week playing that. And I've actually spent the last, I think it came out on the 26th. So it's been like a 3-week vacation. I'm still kind of on that vacation sense. But I mean, we have tools. We're doing some right now. I'm focused heavily on recruiting affiliates and having them do the work. I'm a big fan of if you're able to kind of outsource, in a sense, your sales and being able to give up a small portion or a little bit bigger of a portion so that you have constant money coming in where you have zero time invested, then I'm all for it. So like when I own real estate, like I'm giving up, I think anywhere between 8 and 12% of my rents every single month for my property manager. And so with affiliate marketing and these people who are looking to build recurring income, they're able to actually take 30%. So this just allows us to have them make money, use our product, refer it to other people that would use it to actually generate leads on Facebook, and without us really having to do anything. That wasn't actually those 18 sales. I think in the last week or so, we've actually probably tripled that. I think we're at like 48 sales this last week, or this last 2 weeks. So I think we have now 415 users, I believe.
Wow.
So we're just consistently growing, which is great. And there's a whole system behind that and what those users like mean. We're actually getting paid for leads in a sense. But it's a really cool way of how, and differently, because I play video games. So like learning kind of through video games has taught me like how to kind of create software in a sense.
That's really interesting. And I have three sons, and they're 21, and twins are 20. And going back to when they were 5 years old, I was like, you know what? I'm getting you guys computers because that's your life, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's important.
And it was so interesting because it's like, Dad, should I X out?
No, computers are amazing.
Meanwhile, they're playing these video games, as they're growing up. And, a lot of people would say, why do you let your kids play these games and, so forth. And I'm like, you know what? I said, this is going to be their life. And I said, I'm betting on the fact that every minute that they're spending on the computer playing these video games will lead them into something that they do constructively, for the betterment of mankind, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And it turns out one of them's in computer science. He's up at RIT. Another one is in engineering physics.
Wow.
And the other one wants to be a psychologist of some sort with a minor in music, using music therapy. And it's really interesting, the progression and so forth. But, we're in this computer age now, and this is where we are. And, with the pandemic, pushing everybody online, and going into these virtual worlds, just like we're doing here now. I mean, it's just like, timing is just, it's amazing how things work out,
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to get back to your software tool. I know I met a good friend of yours, but she must be an affiliate of yours, Sarah Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah was giving me a bit of background on, not on you, but on your software and so forth. And, it sounds really, really interesting. You're smart in the fact that whether you're white labeling, you can tell us in a sec, white labeling, whatever, but she told me that she really sets the price to sell the software at whatever she chooses. Is that right?
That's correct. So we actually have we call it a resellers option. And we have a way where people can sign up and they pretty much deliver. They have a back office and they can sell our software and set any price point they want and collect recurring income. And They pay us a monthly fee for that. And so they're able to kind of have their own product and deliver it to whoever their tribe is. And there's 8 billion people in this world. The chances of really kind of having someone find, not running out of people to sell to is impossible. So we have quite a bit of resellers, and they're able to, that's how we make our monthly recurring income, is because they pay us a monthly fee and then they get to charge any price point that they want. And they're able to really customize it if they decide to take the white label option, where they can change the coloring, they can change what tools are allowed to be used, change the logo, everything. So it just allows us to give them a solution without having to be a software developer.
Interesting. That kind of makes me think of the limousine business that I've been in. I've been in event staffing and limousine services for 30 years, I was saying, as far as the amount of time. But the businesses are event staffing and limousines. And limousines is kind of in this taxi world, right?
Right.
Where the taxi businesses would rent the cars. And, the taxi companies, getting their vig every single month, whether the guy does a job or not.
Right.
That's kind of the sense that you're in right there, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's very similar. It's kind of like outsourcing in a sense. They're paying a small fee to be able to borrow our software and utilize it for whatever needs that they need it for. So it's a good system.
Yeah, that's great. So you're obviously a very astute guy, and I can see that that entrepreneurial spirit is definitely in you. Do me a favor and give me an idea. When you were younger, what kind of kid were you? Were you always had that entrepreneurial spirit, or tell me about?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I was actually going to go tell a story when you were talking about earlier with your kids, but this is actually a good opportunity to tell kind of that story. So when I was a kid, I actually played sports all my life. I wrestled, I played football, I did baseball, track, rugby. I toured Europe playing rugby, and I've always been a video game nerd too. So when I was a kid, I actually remember selling lemonade as a small kid. I remember my parents had us sell candy bars. I remember one year we went to the mountains and took mistletoe from the trees and came back down and sold them door to door. So we did all these things, but actually it's funny because when I was a kid, I still played World of Warcraft. It was this company's been around for 15 years. So from day one, I've been playing them, and I've been playing it for 15 years. And I actually, when I was a kid, I got really like, I was the best on the server. And I actually sold my account for like $800, I think it was. And I was just like, how can someone buy an account for $800? And when you're like 17 or 16 and someone pays you $800, you're like, oh my God, this is so much money. I am rich. I can retire. I can just live the life. I can like I can pay my brother to do my chores forever, and I won't have to do anything. And it was pretty amazing. And and that kind of, again, opened my eyes that I could do pretty much anything and make money from it. So at that point, I started actually using software, and I bought like 10 accounts, and my accounts would actually, the software would play and level up my accounts for me. And it was totally hands off. So I would have like 2 computers running, like my windows like would be all minimized on each of my screens, and they would be leveling and playing for me through automation. And I didn't have to do anything. I'd be going to school, I'd come home, and they would be playing, and then I would take those accounts and sell them to people online. And so I was making a pretty good income from that. And then at some point, I would have people actually, and I enjoyed raiding, and which is like playing with other people and then pretty much tackling a goal. And so when someone approached me to play their account, and they would pay me to play their characters. So then I started making that money that way, and then I started making money through selling gold. And so all these different income streams from this one game. And so yeah, I've always been like kind of an entrepreneur. And then I got into like around 17 or 18 or 19, I forget what age, my ex-girlfriend at the time was like, hey, why don't you like become a personal trainer or something? And I was like, that's a really good idea. I should probably do that, because I always played sports. I wasn't a big college fan. I went to college for a few years, but I hated it. And I ended up doing really well in personal training. And that kind of brings us up to when I was a trainer. And I actually went back to school, and I was probably at the end of my fitness career. And I was taking a business class, and it was accounting. And I didn't have the time, and I wasn't passionate about it because I already had a CPA. And I ended up being like, why am I even taking these business classes when I'm already paying people to handle this for me? They should just give me an A. They didn't. So I was like, F this, and I left. So it was actually taking up more. I was not going to get any benefit from it by taking those courses. So I ended up just getting my AA in business, AA in kinesiology, and never looked back. So yeah, I've always been kind of an entrepreneur in a sense, and finding things I enjoy doing and making money from it.
It's like, I feel like everybody I meet, I feel like it's hard to shut my brain off. And I always have these ideas of, I don't want to say how I can make money, but how we can leverage these relationships for the benefit of one another and for others. And it's just very, very interesting how life is, and it works out. Well, Brandon, listen, I know we're getting on time here, so I just wanted to thank you for being on my show, and I think everyone can acknowledge the fact that Brandon is one of our powerful connections here online. And it's really impressive hearing your story there, Brandon, and I really appreciate and glad I invited you on and to tell your story a little bit, and I look forward to having you back.
Yeah, thank you so much again, John, JP. I know you have your friends call you JP sometimes, so I call you JP. So I appreciate it. I'm glad I could be kind of one of the starting guests on your show. So I'm very excited to have been a part of this, and thank you again so much. And I look forward to more shows in the future.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I just want to remind everyone that if you want to watch some of the previous shows, at least right now, there's only one previous show. You can go to Jurni.tv/powerful. And I also invite you to join one of the 3 Jurni platforms on Facebook. We've got the Healthy Jurni, the Happy Jurni, and the Wealthy Jurni. So everything kind of fits into one of those 3 groups. So I invite you to join us and find out a little bit more about Jurni TV. So thanks once again, Brandon. I'm glad you were available today, and we'll see everybody next week on episode 3 when we interview a surprise.
Oh, we look forward to it. Thank you so much, John. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.